Well, hey, I'm Rebekah Folks, happy homemaker, mom to 4 busy kids, and online entrepreneur. I've spent over a decade in this space working with high-achieving, high-performing women who carry the weight of juggling all the things. After many ups and downs of creating balance between home life, work life, and a million kid activities too, I learned how to slow down to actually accomplish more of the important things. I believe in all the to-doing, there are deep spaces in women's hearts that are sacred to us. Conviction in our identity, hospitality around our tables, and that quiet strength that only comes when we lay our head down at night, confident we're doing a good job where it matters most. Consider this a melting pot of wisdom learned over the years. From homemaking and wellness to influencing and marketing, we're diving into the topics that have created more peace, more joy, and in the end, more margin in my business and my life. Welcome to Wide Open Spaces. Well, hi, friends. I am so excited about today's conversation with one of my dear friends, Jessica Hefley. She has been someone that I have looked at for her incredible success within our company, Plexus, but someone that has just done incredible work with helping to manage your mind, helping your thoughts. Earlier this month, we've been kind of talking about decluttering and time blocking and how to have, these conversations. And we would be remiss about kind of starting off just kind of this new season without thinking about managing your mind and what's going on in your thoughts. And so Jessica has a number one podcast of her own, the self-improvement category, which is the Christian Leadership Podcast. She's gone on to use her skills as a certified speaker and trainer and coach through the John Maxwell team, as well as she does spiritual direction. She has a Christian life coaching program to help with breakthrough and transformation. It's a program called Leading Ladies. She'll talk about it at the end. There's some information in the show notes. But for now, I think you are going to love just hearing kind of being able to bridge hard work with a spirit of rest and what that looks like, what that feels like. I'm so excited for y'all to hear from my friend, Jessica Hefley. Well, I am so excited about this episode. I texted Jessica this morning. I was like, I've been smiling all morning. I'm thrilled for y'all to get to hear from and meet my colleague, my friend, my sister in the Lord, Jessica Hefley. Jessica, I'm so glad you're here.
I am really, really honored and excited just to visit with you. Just have a conversation.
Yes,
as you put
just
it.
have a conversation.
Which is so casual and comfortable. So thanks for having me on.
Well, I am constantly impressed by Jessica. And what I always think is so refreshing is when I leave her, even though she is a standout in every way, there's a lightness on you. And I'm so drawn to that because it brings you, it invites you into change and into awareness, and in such good ways. I'm trying to make it because it's so approachable. It's so approachable when I'm with you. And so I sometimes, definitely in our sphere, people may have seen you on stages or on big places. And so to get to have just a one-on-one conversation with you and maybe let people in to a little bit more of the magic of Jessica Hefley, I'm really excited about that, because I was thinking also this morning, and actually, Jessica, will you just tell a little bit of your story and who you are? And I mean, I know you do that. So just kind of tell, who are you, Jessica Hefley?
Well, I'm like already crying because
I'm crying too, and I don't
I'm
know.
not a big crier. I think that because what you just described about me, I see as growth in me. As someone who I feel like I used to be a hustler and a striver and a work really harder, like to have you recognize that I'm a peaceful person that brings a presence in that way I really feel proud of that. I feel proud of the Lord.
I do see that in
me.
I do.
So some of my story, I am, huge. Well, first of all, I'm a huge introvert. And so we're in the same network marketing company, Plexus, and at the top of that company, it's just so fascinating because you take all the personality tests, and I'm actually the least likely to be successful in network marketing.
Oh, I've never heard you say
You're like
that.
probably the best likely to be successful in network marketing. And so I'm thankful for social media that a shy person can really thrive. But I'm the oldest of 5 kids. I grew up very lower middle class up in Illinois, Midwesterner. Just always was, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. Like, I was shy and awkward, y'all. I'm 5'12", so I was very awkward for a girl growing up, and just had a lot of self-esteem issues and whatnot. But the Lord grew that. Like, I grew up with a very best friend who was very much in the spotlight, the popular one, always had the boyfriends, always had and I never did, but I was always the third wheel. And we went off to college together, and she actually got mono the first week and never came back. And so it was actually a hand of favor for the Lord, because it allowed me to come out of the shadows and really become my own
Were y'all
person.
roommates?
We were sweet
Like, were you
mates.
sweet mates?
You
Okay.
don't, you go to best friend, you go to college with your best friend. You're not roommates, you're sweet mates. You get a
Oh,
little
sweet mates.
space.
Okay. Okay.
And so anyways, that was a beautiful journey on that way. And then years later, me and my husband met on eHarmony. I got married as older. And from there, I always thought I would be in debt. I always thought I would have a job that, you worked the typical. My dad grew up working in a glass factory. You work hard with your hands. That's what develops character. And my husband was a dreamer, and he's like, we're going to be millionaires. And I'm like, that's not even possible. Like, I make $30,000 a year. We're not ever going to be millionaires. And then, anyways, long story short, Plexus, I was praying for a way. Years later, we had our first son. My husband was in the gas and oil industry, and he was working out of town a lot. And so I was like, single mom. We were in a lot of debt. I was like, this isn't the life that I dreamed of, being a stay-at-home mom, finally, with our baby. And I prayed and prayed and prayed for a way to make money from home, and was Googling and searching and all the things. And network marketing came up, but I didn't want sales quotas. I didn't want to have to do parties. I didn't want to have to do, but I had a friend who her Tamara, her post popped up at the Lexus dealership. Which Lexus should I pick? And that really caught my attention, because it was a friend I knew from church. She wasn't some weirdo. And I knew that that was a way that I could make money from home. And my son was really struggling with eczema, and I'd gone down this research journey with gut health, and really trying to find an answer, not just like, here's a steroid cream. Everybody has eczema. Here's a steroid cream. I wanted to know, now, why does he have it? And why is it flaring up when he eats certain things? And so Plexus was an answer to that. Anyways, I went all in. My husband said I was crazy, said don't do it. And I didn't listen. And I went all in and joined you at the top of the company within a year. And so that has been a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Can you believe it's been 9 years? Yeah.
Yeah. 10 years for me. And I love hearing the stories of different people I just love hearing stories in general, but I love hearing yours. So tell me, you said that for when you were kind of at the beginning sharing that you had this hustle and that you were go, 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 and that maybe you feel like to hear that you have a people would recognize a lightness or peace on you feels like growth. So where was that kind of a shit? What was there a before and after there? Would you say that? Tell me why you would say that it wasn't always like that.
Yeah. Well, there's probably a couple factors. I think that I used to think that there was only like one way to do things. Like, this is how I did it, so let's do it. When people would ask like how to be successful in network marketing, I was like, this is what I did, just do it. And this is before I learned so much more about different personalities and how people are wired differently and motivated differently. And honestly, I think the hustle mentality for me, I wouldn't say this I can't speak for anybody else. Like, it was just kind of like in my own strength. Like, I can do this. Let me do this. Let me power through. And as the years went by, Cedar Rock Ministries is a marriage ministry that we love. Being a part of that was probably one of the first steps in tremendously helping us to slow down. Not that going fast is a bad thing, but then how would I describe it? I would say that it's brought about, I think everything that's hard in your life has brought about things. So we've had some hard things in our marriage, and that brought about some slowness, that brought about some pondering, some self-awareness. A big thing that I believe that contributed to my success in Plexus and other areas of life is therapy, because I dealt with the fear of man early on. I feel like that fear of man that'll that is why most people do not live into their calling. That is why most people do not do what God has called them to do. That is why so many people, whatever business it is or whatever thing that God has been whispering to you, they just don't do that because they are so scared of what other people will think of them. And so that was a huge area. It's a calling that I feel called to, is to speak on the spirit of fear, is to help people become aware of what is stopping them from being successful, what is causing those triggers in them that are making them be offensive or want to fight back or want to, I don't know, like there's just this.
Or stay
I forgot your
small.
original question. Like I'm just.
Well, the difference in if you're saying that it meant something to you for me to see like peace
Yeah.
and lightness on you. And so
Yeah.
if there was a difference to, you were kind of talked about in the beginning about hustle culture. So I was just saying, was there a certain shift, or tell me what it looked like for you to be in the hustle and not in the hustle, just kind
Yeah.
of why that meant something to you,
Yeah.
what that brought a response.
Apart from me, you can do nothing is a verse that comes to mind for me a lot. And so I feel like when I'm not in the hustle mode, or when I am able to be curious and not be hurried. I think that was another thing, that when I was so hurried, I didn't have a moment. I wasn't taking the time to, I think I was avoiding things that were uncomfortable, avoiding feelings that were hard or uncomfortable. And so when I see a peaceful, powerful person who is able to be present with the emotions that are good or the emotions that are bad. The emotions that bring joy or the emotions that most people in their life avoid, resist, do everything they can to procrastinate from anything that's going to cause a feeling within them that is causing anxious or fear or resentment or uncomfortable. Like they don't want
Just
to go
discomfort.
there.
Yes.
And so I feel like there's just such a level of wisdom and a level of health on someone who is able to be present through all the emotions, the ups, the downs, and I think just being present, and which causes you, which is, you have to be still enough to be present. It's not a scattered state. It's not a anxietous state. It is a state of being able to be there with the good and the bad, not running from it, not avoiding it, being there, being present. Present is one of my most favorite words. Presence is my word for
Same.
the year.
Yes, I love the word presence. I love the word presence. And actually, this is just a little random funny, but I was doing this. I've been going through. Did we talk about that Cultivate little book? Have we talked about that? So those people,
You
they
mentioned
wrote
it, but I haven't.
the girls that wrote or that are behind like the Cageless Birds. If y'all ever tell Alexa in the morning, if you want some like peaceful worship music, some of it's instrumental, some of it's like just soaking music, but Cageless Birds is the name of it. And they have, I guess there's like 4 devotional books, and they're kind of like journals, but they're full of, but it's not a typical, anyway, you have to check it out. But in there today, there was kind of it was almost poetic, this just devotional, and she was talking about quilts. And then the prompt at the end was just to sit and imagine like yourself being wrapped up in God's presence. I was like, that's enough for today, to just be wrapped up in that. And at first I was like, that feels so cheesy and silly. And then I just did it. And it was so sweet. It was so, and anyway, I loved the picture behind that, but I do have a little alarm that goes off on my phone, on my watch 3 times a day. And one of the words that it is reminding me to be is
Well,
present. Are
I
you
think that is
present in this moment right
yes,
now?
it is such a lost art, like the contemplativeness, which is really
Yes.
just mindfulness, I think, and that's what I was going for when I was saying most people just avoid, resist. Like, I talk about journaling a lot. I teach within my
Mhm.
program, like, how to take your thoughts captive, and I didn't realize so many people don't even know where to start on that. Like, they're
Yeah.
like, "Journal? You talk about journaling all the time, Jessica. What?
Yeah.
I've never journaled before. What does that mean?" And that's so fat. And so I guess that's, that's something that's just so natural to me that I forget other people don't know how to do that. And that's just being present. That's like anytime throughout my day or throughout my week, literally, if I am noticing that I am feeling anxious or I am feeling worried or I avoided something or I snapped, maybe got angry, like if anything within me, like I feel is not for the fruit of the Holy Spirit, like I'm like, let's take notice of this. This is like this red flag. This is an invitation where I get to explore before the Lord, where I get to, but you have to pause in order to process what actually happened there. So many people, I love this analogy of, okay, so we've got thoughts running around our head all the time. Okay. So I love to think of it like a Ferris wheel. Like it's just there and it is going and going. And most people aren't even aware of what their thoughts are. They're just anxious or they're tired or they're snapping
Yeah.
at their husband or
Yeah.
they're avoiding doing things for their work. But these thoughts are there. And so what happens on a Ferris wheel? Like how do you get on or off a Ferris wheel? The Ferris wheel has to slow down and the Ferris wheel has to stop. And the old people get off and the new people get on. And so I love to think of that as helping to take our thoughts captive around
I love
just
that.
our thoughts. Like, because, and it'll just keep going. We may not even
Yeah.
know what those thoughts are, but it's going and going. And unless we slow down to get out the old thoughts and intentionally bring in the new life-giving thoughts on purpose, and then we can go repeat those. But there has to be a slowing down in order to be aware of those and change those.
It's so good. Yeah. It can just be background noise. I mean, sometimes if
Mhm.
something's weighing on me or just kind of stressing me, and it's like background noise. And then once it's solved or once it goes away, then you kind of realize, oh my gosh, that has been this little clink, clink, clink,
Yeah.
clink in the back of my, that I didn't even really
Yeah.
realize it. But I do want to go back. I love to journal. I'm a journaler. But I kind of have this, I wake up in the morning, I'm praying, I'm meditating, I'm doing my things, and then I'll journal during my journal time because that's my time when I journal. And I love that you just said that if you recognize a feeling or a red
Mhm.
flag or you're just kind of some restlessness and you take the time and that you journal right then. I don't know why that felt so like profound to me. I was like, oh, I could just pull out my little journal and ask myself some questions
Mhm.
and journal it out. I think journaling is fascinating. I think it is completely fascinating that
Yeah.
you will, and I mean, it takes, for me, it takes a minute to like get into it for my thoughts to flow freely enough. But just to not even look at what I'm writing or being someone that goes back and reads what I've written so far, but just to let myself and then to go back at the end and just you're like, oh, oh, like
Mm.
it's right there in front of you how you were feeling, or oh, I actually wrote that out. I'm because you can edit. I mean, then you can it just makes you aware of what's that
And
doesn't
we
sound
gotta be
profound
honest.
at all, but I'm like, oh, I'm
No.
actually thinking that thought over.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll
Yes.
see the same sentence in there. I'm trying to think what it
Mhm.
was yesterday that I'd written like multiple times. And I was like, oh, I think it was something about being out of control in a situation. I was like, oh, you're feeling out of control. And I wouldn't have even like that
Mhm.
wouldn't have been a way that I would have framed that situation. And I was like, oh, you were
The
feeling out of
truth comes
control.
out, and you
Yes, the
gotta be
truth comes
truthful.
out.
I mean, and there literally is something that happens in our brain. Like, if you look at the book of Psalms in the Bible, like, David will be like, "Oh, Lord, have mercy on me. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me." But by the end of the psalm, he's like, "But I praise you, oh Lord.
That's
Thank
right.
you for what you have done." So
That's
there's,
right.
like, literally something therapeutic. It's gotta come out. We've gotta be honest. We have to be aware of what it actually even is. And then it's like the influx of other options can come in, but we're so stuck until we process what is right in front of us
Just
first.
going round and round and round. I
Yep.
love that.
Yep.
So interesting. Okay. The other thing that I just, because I feel like this question and there's so much, whether it's in the Christian community or maybe it's just in the communities that I follow about rest and that you're in
Mhm.
a place of rest
Mhm.
and then kind of, saying the not hustle. I even have a pastor that I love and follow a lot. And he's like, I don't even want to hear people talk about, um, I don't know that he says hard work, but he's the self effort part of it. And I just wonder for someone that is a high achiever, that is a high achiever in, you know, in a high performer in multiple arenas, someone that's doing therapy in their in their marriage and looking at parenting, that you're super active and really involved with the church and being mentored by people in your church and in your career and having a fun, like all these areas. How, what, talk to me about the friction of
Oh, yeah.
being a hard work, being a hard worker, being a good steward, being
Mhm.
I know responsibility is a value of like all those things and how those feel so at odds to
Mhm.
be also to have a spirit of rest. Do
Mhm.
you have thoughts on how to keep that presence and that spirit of
Mhm.
rest that's going to help to push off the anxiety and the worry and all the overdoing? You want to
Yes.
talk to me
Oh,
about that?
yeah. Add in my husband bought graybeard ammo. We started an
Yes.
ammo
And
business.
your husband is an entrepreneur and doing all the
And
things,
so we have
achiever.
2 gun
Yes.
stores within the last year, and we're building a
And
house.
you're
And
building a
so
house.
me and Rob, like, we
Do you
literally
want to have triplets or something? I feel like something's
right.
missing. A
Why
puppy?
not?
Can we get you a puppy?
I look at Rob often and I think, well, I'm like, there is no way we could have done this 2 years ago. And why I say that is because I became a certified life coach within the last year. And those tools that I learned in there to take my thoughts captive, I'm like, I was in therapy on and off for 10 years, but what that did, that 6 months, the exponential growth, and the amount of peace in my life, being taught that my thoughts are creating something for me. Your thoughts
Mm,
are creating something for you. And so that's why we have to know what they are. Okay. And so for me, how do I handle all of those things is I can't handle it alone. Like, apart from me, you can do nothing is literally my life first right now. And so white space isn't optional for me. It is mandatory for me in order to carry what God has called us to carry. And I'm very big on this. Like, the calling on your life doesn't have to feel heavy
mm,
when you are doing it in partnership with the Lord. And so that's just a really easy balance for me. Like, I can tell if I am not in the word, if I am not renewing my mind, if I am not intentional about the thoughts that I am choosing to think on purpose, I can go 2 days and then I'm on the couch eating cookies and binging Netflix. Like, it is that like like never before in my life have I understood daily bread. Like, it has to be for me to function, or I will very quickly go into anxietous control, striving. And let me make sure I communicate this. I am not saying working is bad. Like, I think a lot of people, I have lots of like high achieving friends that
mhm.
they like hustle is good to them. I'm like, I'm not saying that. Work is biblical. Work is good. I actually think when people come into like mind, being aware of their thoughts and coming into this place of rest and peace, they can oftentimes go like swing too far over to the pendulum.
That's what I'm meaning. Like I'm watching. That's
Yeah.
it. How do you live in tandem? Because I want
Yes.
to be like productive. Like you want to
Yes.
be a do. Yes. So that's the
And
friction to
and
me.
so and I coach a lot of people who used to be work, 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 and they've learned this place of trust. Rest equals trust to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And so it's a place of allowing, like, if that one person doesn't join my team, then I'm forever doomed. No, like trusting that God has millions of people out there. It is rigged in my favor. Like like he wants me to be blessed. Like there's just this place of like, this trust. So anyways,
Mhm.
when I coach people and they've come over to this rest, come over to the other side. No, they're realizing like, oh, okay, like I I can operate from this place that feels my peaceful, powerful presence changes things. It's not completely up to me. Like they come over to this place and then they start to, like maybe they're in a challenge or they want to work towards a goal and their body, their nervous system. I'm so big on our nervous system. It'll start to feel, oh, this feels like hustle. Oh, this feels like work, and they'll shut down. And I'm
Yeah.
like, and so that's where we have to, again, be aware of what is happening in our thoughts and in our bodies. Like, okay, for example, when that happens, something is triggered inside their body and they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. Years ago, I worked so hard and it was my marriage, like it messed with my marriage and I lost sleep. And they think that's the only way to be successful. They're looking to the past as evidence for what's possible with their future. And they're like, well, that worked for me last time. So that's the only way I'm ever going to be able to be successful is to get in that place again. But that's where you get to be, okay, what is actually happening in your body right now? So many people don't know. Okay. When I ask people, like, what is the feeling that you're actually feeling? So many people can't even say. Or they'll say, I'm angry or I'm scared. And I'll say, that's curious, but what else? Because
Mhm.
it's easy to say you're angry. It's easy to say you're
Yeah.
scared. When you continue to curious questions, y'all, if you being curious instead of judgmental about yourself and others, if you can ask the curious questions, because it's just easy to say, I'm angry. I'm angry at my husband. I'm angry at my team. I'm angry at, but instead, like, actually, I'm feeling like disappointed, or I'm feeling
Mhm.
like I did something wrong, or
Mhm.
I'm feeling some shame. And when you can identify that and explore that and offer that up to the Lord for healing, that will help you move forward in your business. That could help you get more done in less time because you're really exploring that instead of just avoiding that again. So,
I love all of that. That is so helpful. And so, I mean, I love all those thoughts. When you talked about white space is not an option and just the
Mhm.
difference in your day when you have white space, do you want to kind of talk to me about that? Is that just having peace and like or margin in your day where you're not like, is that margin? Are you saying tell me what you mean by white space.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, that's margin.
Okay.
That is
Yes.
saying
Good. Yeah.
no to things.
Yeah.
That is saying no to things. I also think there's a culture of like, if I ever say no to something, no. I guess a lot of these things are boiling down to scarcity or like prosperity, like this mindset of scarcity or provision. Like if
Hmm.
I say no to this, no, so they won't ever ask me again. Or
Yeah.
if I say no to this, I've missed my opportunity forever.
Yeah.
And from a place of rest, like saying no is saying yes to something else. And I know that when I say no to something, I'm saying yes to me. I'm saying
Hmm.
yes to my time with the Lord. I'm saying yes to, I coach other people. So I have made it a commitment that as a coach, I will always have a coach myself. And so I'm making a commitment to doing the work on myself. So then I can have breakthrough, I can have healing. And so that authority, that slipstream can be imparted to the people that work with me. Like that's important. And it's important for us to know who we are and why we are here. I feel like that is the two biggest areas Satan tries to attack us. If he can attack your identity and attack your
Hmm.
purpose. And so the white space is a place for me to be reminded of who I am, who I have been. I have been called to lead leaders, to help them create peace, to help them make money, to help them steward their business God's way. Like that is my identity. I am a child of God. I am not good enough. I am not perfect. I am not a bad wife. I'm not a bad mom. I'm not all those voices of condemnation. Like there's a difference. Like if the condemnation, my body just changed. Like if those voices that you're listening to is spiraling you down into shame or to hiding, like that's where you have to combat back with the truth. Just yesterday, I was rereading this part. The armor of God, Ephesians 6. A lot of people know Ephesians 6, the armor of God, but in the Passion Translation, it words it this way. And I was like, yes. I was just telling my team about this yesterday. Hold on one second, because we got to fight back with the word of God. Okay. So this is in chapter 6. In every battle, take faith as your wraparound shield, for it is able to extinguish the blazing arrows coming at you from the evil one. Here we go. Embrace the power of salvation's full deliverance like a helmet to protect your thoughts from lies. Mm-hmm. To protect your thoughts from lies. So the saints are going to tell you lots of things about your identity. Mm-hmm. And they're going to make you shrink back. Mm-hmm. They're going to make you not want to make more money, not want to grow your business, not want to grow your influence. They want to make you want to go make a sandwich and just do nothing. Okay. Like it's so easy. Okay. Can we just take a moment, Rebekah, for me to tell you how proud I am of you? Most people do not know. Like to put a podcast or a coaching program or a class, anything out into the world is terrifying.
Yeah, there's some of that. Just like fetal positioning.
Terrifying. Okay. And I don't think we talk about that enough. I think people see people that do start a podcast or start a class or do something else. And they're like, oh, they're so much more brave than me. And I'm over here saying, no, we're also terrified. Okay. But we've chosen to acknowledge or maybe push it away, but like that this is scary, but we've chosen to renew our mind with the truth, to remind ourselves of our identity, remind ourselves of the purpose that God has called us to do, and move forward in spite of that. If you can move forward in spite of a uncomfortable feeling, you're unstoppable.
Say that again. You kind of got away from your mic. You're unstoppable.
Oh, you're unstoppable.
Yeah.
Because most people in the world will avoid any time they feel something uncomfortable. If it is scary, if there's a possibility of failure, if there's a possibility of embarrassment, like all of these possibilities. Yeah, there is. And
then who is it that says like, so then you want to be normal? And is it Dave Ramsey that's like, do you know what normal
is? Boring.
Like fat and broke. I mean, like normal, like look around. People are not doing well. They're not doing well.
And that's the part.
Just to be honest.
That's the part. Like so many people are like, no. Or they're not even aware that like pause, feel embarrassed for a moment. You're like, let your body feel that. Feel failure. Guess what? You didn't die. You have the ability to feel the possibility of uncomfortable feelings, but then you get a choice. You can either say, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm scared that I never want to ever feel that feeling. Or you can choose, I am capable of feeling that, but if I feel this, I also can feel delight and empowerment and like I'm making a difference in life change and fulfillment of my purpose. And like I get to feel the highest highs. If you're willing to feel the lowest lows, your highs are going to be even higher.
I just love that. And this morning I went and grabbed this book, Captivating, which is one of my most favorite, because I was just thinking about our conversation. For some reason, I was thinking about this little chunk of this little paragraph that I just want. He's kind of talking about the difference in when you're in this hustle place, or maybe for you, it's not knowing what your purpose is, or you're struggling with some identity things, and whatever that is that's making you ride the Ferris wheel or making your brain just go a million miles an hour, overthinking and not being able to commit or decide. He's kind of comparing it to, imagine you're in traffic and the horns are blaring and you're stuck and exhaust is coming in your windows, and then, but kind of, challenging that thought with walking into a garden or a beach or looking at the mountains and how you can just breathe and how good it is for your soul.
Mhm.
And he says that this is what it is like to be with a woman at rest, a woman
Mhm.
comfortable in her feminine beauty. She is
Mhm.
enjoyable to be with. She is lovely. In her presence, your heart stops holding its breath. You relax and believe once again that all will be well. And this is
Mhm.
also why a woman who is striving is so disturbing. For a woman who is not at rest in her heart says to the world, all is not well. Things are not going to turn
Mhm.
out right. Like a fountain troubled, as Shakespeare said, muddy, ill seeming, thick, bereft of beauty. We need what beauty speaks. What it says is hard to put into words, but part of its message is that all is well and all will be well. And I just love that so much because you get around people that are at peace and they are at rest and they have margin, and that allows time for you
Mhm.
to dream and be
Mhm.
creative and think,
Mhm.
what if, or just imagine. And I
Mhm.
think the next line of that book even says, beauty also invites. And it's true because it invites you
Mhm.
to think, what if? And it's not about, an aesthetic or looking a certain way. But I do think there is something so attractive and alluring and just, I mean, that you just want to be near people who are at rest. And I think that comes from a confidence. I mean, just like you were saying, that Satan is attacking your identity and your purpose. Those are the two areas that you were just talking about. He's attacking because if he attacks those, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You're stuck on that
Oh, yeah.
Ferris wheel. You're stuck in the terrible thought cycles of thinking, whether you're fearful or you're anxious or the what ifs are all pointing to negative directions. And it just, it hurts my heart. But I love that section of that book. When I think about rest, that is the picture that always, it's
It's so
not,
abundant.
it's so abundant. And to
Yeah.
me, it's productive. Like
Mhm.
I think that the beauty and the confidence of that, it allows you to want to do. You've got
Mhm.
stuff. If you're in
Yeah.
that place, you got stuff to do. You're excited about where you're
It's
going. You're
from
purposeful.
purpose, because it's from
Yes.
purpose. One of my
Yes.
thoughts I tell myself every day, I am a person of purpose who lives on purpose.
A person of purpose who
Purpose who
lives on purpose. I
And we
love
live
that.
into that. If you keep telling yourself, "I'm overwhelmed, I'm behind," like, that's "I'm overwhelmed, I'm behind, I'm overwhelmed, I'm behind," that instantly, like, I just went, "Ooh," like, that is creating, and because you have a choice of what you're creating in your life. And so those thoughts on repeat are creating the anxiety, the I've got to do more. I've got to control, like this feelings of control, and so, but when I am a person of purpose who lives on purpose, I also have another one because to help me bridge my hustle and my rest, because it's easy for me to go to one side or the other.
Yes.
So goals are often they can be hard for someone who's been on the rest side to be like, well, what's the point of goals? It's abundance. Whatever will be, will be. And I don't want to go way over here. And so another one of my thoughts is me focusing on and achieving my goals helps set more people free faster. So it is tied. It's like this obedience, because I know in my coaching program, I know that I am called to help set people free. I am called to help people hear from Jesus for themselves, to help them grow their businesses in a biblical way. There's like a supernatural multiplication. Like, it's so
Tell, as we're
fun.
kind of wrapping up, tell about your program,
Oh, okay.
Leading
Well,
Ladies.
leading
Tell what
ladies.
it is.
Yes. Well, it's a group coaching program for leaders in any industry. Somebody who is a leader, they are called to multiply. They want to steward their gifts. They want to create more peace and make more money. Okay, because you can have both. I got a whole other story about how I used to have a twisted money mindset growing up. So lower middle class, like I thought money was bad. We judged wealthy people. Like I had skewed teachings within the church just to think that money was evil, all of those things. And that has all changed once I got aware of those thoughts that were creating feelings of guilt and shame. And now I'm like, more money needs to be in the hands of good people. And as I coach high level leaders, so many of them were just so full of anxiety or so overwhelmed or didn't feel like they had time or just were doing the bare minimum or uninspired anymore because they didn't have the tools to reduce anxiety, didn't have the tools to understand what their thoughts were creating. Anyways, it's called Leading Ladies. It's a group coaching program. I teach on a theme every month, a high level leadership theme. And then we do coaching. There's personal accountability, spiritual direction. We do some fun freedom prayer and other vision exercises. Because I don't want to be anybody's Holy Spirit. Like you can hear from the Lord for yourself, and he speaks to you, and he
That's
wants
right.
to speak to all of us. And so if I can help equip people to hear from the Lord from themselves in their business and in their life, oh, it's fun.
Jessica Hefley, I just love you. And I'm so proud of you. And I'm so grateful for you. Do you have any kind of last thoughts or anything? If just an encouragement to people that it feels like we kind of camped out a lot on just the bridge, like you talked about, between hard work and rest, or hustle and rest, and having both of those, or just anything that God's putting on your heart as we kind of say
I just
farewell.
want to remind people that the truth sets people free, and the truth is Jesus. And for you to just, everybody out there, just remember your identity and your purpose. Like those are the two ways. Like, again, when you know the truth of those two things, and I'm not saying that you ain't going to be reminded of the other things. That's why you have to intentionally practice these things. So many people don't do thought work because they think it's too simple. But it is really as simple as choosing a particular thought. There's some other things about processing emotions if you're stuck with some things, but to choose thoughts on purpose. And so Satan will try to attack your identity, who you are, and what you are called to do on this earth. And so if you can give yourself some anchor thoughts, some anchor statements around those two things, and cling to those, then you'll be unstoppable. Because y'all, we need more money in the hands of good people, more money, more people growing their businesses and doing it from a place of wholeness, not from a place of like offense or anger or doing it the wrong way. Like wholeness is free from it's free from triggers. It's finding those areas that are hooking you or bringing up the old things from the past, and it's finding healing from those so you can fully walk in your calling.
So good. I just love you. Thank you for coming on,
Me
Jessica.
too.
I loved our conversation.
Me too. Thank you, Rebekah. Proud of you.
You just finished another episode of Wide Open Spaces. My hope is always that you felt encouraged as you listened. And if you found this valuable, will you share it with a friend today? Tag me if you do. I always love seeing your favorite takeaways. I'm so glad you were here, and I'll see you back next week. Same time, same place. See you then.